Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into an absolutely fascinating piece of research. We're talking about a radical shift in how we handle information during our absolute darkest hours. What we're unpacking here is a groundbreaking framework that demonstrates how decentralized tech could literally save lives when the unthinkable happens. It's a real game changer. To really grasp the real-world stakes here, I want you to think back to the 2017 Mexico earthquake. When that disaster hit, it exposed this deadly flaw in our modern emergency response. We completely rely on centralized databases. Because these systems are housed in physical locations, they carry a massive risk of a single point of failure. So, when the infrastructure collapsed in Mexico, boom, the centralized servers failed to provide timely, accurate data. The entire network went down exactly when people needed it the most. And you know what happens when reliable data vanishes, right? Chaos. Absolute chaos fills the void. That 2017 earthquake brilliantly and tragically illustrates the visceral human cost of unchecked data. You might actually remember the Frida Sofia phenomenon. It was this viral story about a young girl trapped in a collapsed school. It completely gripped the world, but here's the kicker. It was entirely false. This misinformation misdirected emergency teams, caused immense confusion, and wasted precious resources that could have been spent on actual rescue operations. It proves that fake news doesn't just confuse people, it actively steals time from real victims. So what are we using right now? Well, the legacy platforms we currently rely on to manage disaster data are deeply flawed. Take systems like Sahana and Ushahidi. They've got severely limited or weak security and insecure centralized data integrity. Then there's the Global Disaster Alerting and Coordination System, or GDACS. Same story, limited security with weak data integrity. The unacceptable common thread across all these projects is that they use centralized databases. They just cannot provide adequate protection for data security, and they absolutely cannot guarantee privacy for the victims. The bottom line, we need a completely different architecture. Normal, centralized databases are just too fragile, they're way too easily manipulated, and they rely entirely on that central server. If that server goes offline, you are flying blind. On the flip side, we have blockchain. It's inherently decentralized, meaning there is zero single point of failure. The records are immutable. Nobody can secretly alter or delete them. In a catastrophic situation, blockchain essentially acts as an autonomous survival mechanism. It literally creates trust in chaos. Okay, but how does a blockchain actually manage all this data without a central boss pulling the strings? Well, it all comes down to smart contracts. Let's skip the academic jargon for a second. A smart contract is simply an autonomous trust protocol. It's just code that executes exactly as programmed the moment specific conditions are met. It completely eliminates the need for some third-party human to sit at a desk manually validating data. These contracts lock down data immutability and autonomously stop false information right in its tracks. So picture how this comes together in the field. In this proposed decentralized model, a disaster victim initiates a request for help. Instantly, an autonomous smart contract jumps into action to verify the identity and the accuracy of that data. The data routing here is brilliant. Heavy detailed files get pushed to the IPFS, the interplanetary file system, while a verified summarized version of the request goes straight to the blockchain. This means trustworthy, verified requests reach the emergency teams instantly without completely clogging up the main network. But man, this brings up a genuinely terrifying question. During a catastrophic disaster, when the physical world around you is literally falling apart, who actually controls your identity? Think about it. If you're relying on a centralized government server to prove who you are, and that server is currently buried under 20 tons of rubble, you have no identity. You literally have no way to securely authenticate yourself to get the help you desperately need. The researcher's solution to this is DID, or Decentralized Identity. DID completely ends our reliance on central authorities. Instead, it assigns every individual a unique identifier stored on the blockchain, verified using cryptographic keys. This puts data control directly back into the victim's hands, where it belongs. It empowers you to prove exactly who you are, allowing for incredibly fast, secure authentication and resource allocation, even if the local infrastructure is completely wiped off the map. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, privacy. In emergencies, authorities usually demand way more personal data than they actually need, which creates massive privacy risks. To solve this, the framework integrates zero-knowledge proofs, or ZKPs. To demystify the intense math behind this, let's use an awesome analogy from the research. Normally, to prove your age, you hand over an ID card, right? You expose your exact birth date, your home address, all of it. With a zero-knowledge proof, you use cryptography to mathematically prove a statement, like I am over 18, without revealing a single other piece of extra data. The verifier absolutely knows the statement is true, but they learn literally zero extra knowledge about you. Let's apply that exact cryptographic shield directly to the battlefield of a disaster zone. Say a medical responder finds an unconscious victim. Step 1, they need to know if the victim is eligible for a specific triage treatment. Step 2, the system uses a zero-knowledge proof to instantly verify that eligibility. Step 3, the victim's full medical history remains completely hidden. The medical team gets the exact, verified yes or no answer they need to act fast, without violating the victim's privacy or dumping their life history into an exposed database. So in practice, it flows incredibly smoothly. You have a prover, that's the user trying to verify a specific detail, like proving they're a trusted member of an organization. They use their interface to generate a complex mathematical proof. That proof gets sent to the blockchain. Then the verifier system, acting as an automated smart contract, examines the proof. The verifier just gets a simple green check or a red X. They know the person is legit, but they never, ever see the raw data. Okay, the theory sounds incredible, right? But does it actually hold up when real lives are on the line? Well, the researchers pivoted straight to hard evidence. During rigorous system testing of this prototype, simulating the chaos of high concurrency daily usage, the network achieved a maximum transactions per second of 95.66, almost 96 TPS. This proves that not only is the cryptography rock solid, but the system is totally feasible and responsive enough to handle a massive influx of panic-driven data during a real crisis. And honestly, the craziest part about that 95.66 number, they didn't hit it using some massive million-dollar supercomputer. Nope, it was validated on the DS4H blockchain research network, and they proved this high-level, complex cryptography runs smoothly on a standard, cheap Raspberry Pi. It consumes very little energy. Plus, their future vision for this framework is staggering. They're planning to implement NFT-based reputation tokens to completely block bad actors from spreading fake news, and they want to introduce permanent soul wallets, giving users absolute, unshakable control over their personal data histories forever. Which really leaves us with one massive, provocative question. When the next major disaster inevitably hits and the cell towers fall, will your digital footprint be a fragile liability that exposes your privacy? Or will it be an autonomous, decentralized shield that actually helps save your life? Look, the fragility of our current digital world is just unacceptable. For anyone working in disaster management, cybersecurity, or decentralized tech, you absolutely need to study and cite this critical framework by researchers Ines Carr-Arslan and Beste Akadek. It is not just a tech upgrade, it's literally a blueprint for survival. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the systems we rely on.